Welcome back, everybody. This is John Hardy with you once again, and Michael.
How are you, John?
I'm really well and loving what we do and loving this conversation and loving helping business people.
I was actually listening to you, and I know you put these up on the Facebook, listening to you answer the question about the gym owner. And do I expand or do I go get another one? Interesting point that I picked up from that, and you were saying it's really important to look at the qualities that made you successful.
That's right, absolutely.
Because making yourself bigger may just destroy the quality that brought the customers to you.
It's going to change. There's no doubt about that. Whatever he does next will change.
Yeah.
But if he does it well enough, understanding what the change actually is going to be is going to help him.
Yeah.
And this is the challenge for business owners. And I want to touch on the topic today and walk us through how to win and lose in business, because there is winners and there is losers.
Absolutely.
You know, we know that is it something like at least 3 out of 5 business starts will close within 3 years. So you know that's a tragedy. That's a loss, and that's a lot of money, effort, emotion, etc. You know, running up bills, taking out loans, doing overdrafts, all those challenges. And there is some businesses here today that will be listening to this conversation who right now are not sure whether they are winning or whether they're losing, and they don't know the difference and they don't know how to identify those areas. And they're struggling with the reality of making a decision to change what's going on inside of them. So that's where we want to head today and have that conversation. And I want to do some contrasting of where we lose and where we win.
I think it's very poignant and very topical that you brought it up. I mean, I was in Perth yesterday. We were in Perth, West Australia, and I was actually giving some money to one of the people. We've got a few homeless people, and I like to give the money. People go, well, what's he going to spend it? That's got nothing to do with me.
Absolutely, nothing to do.
My gift to him is to, whatever he needs for his life, he will do the right thing.
Absolutely.
And he said, oh, I really, really appreciate it. That's no problem. And he said, oh, you look like you're in business. I said, yeah. And he said, oh, I was in business once and I made some really bad decisions. And he said, the worst decision I make is I didn't make a decision. And he said, and this is where I am.
Absolutely.
And it was like, wow. And now you brought this topic in today. I'm going, this is something that sometimes we're perhaps not too far away from the door.
Absolutely. The wolf is at the door.
Yeah.
And the wolf is at the door for people listening to me today. And the question is, it really is about indecisiveness. And what happens is, I want to give you these 3 words. This is where you are right now. You're either drifting, you're distracted, or you're discouraged. One of those 3, or a combination of those 3, or all of those 3. And the issue is the 4th D, and that is actually making a decision, but you don't know how to do it. You are lacking. So drifting is, you wake up in the morning, you do your business, you come home from work, you wake up in the morning, you go to business, you come home, and you're thinking inside of you, there is something about what I'm doing that doesn't seem to be gelling, it's not quite working, and we just seem to be, you've even said this to yourself, we seem to be drifting with no real clarity or purpose or direction or focus or any of those kinds of words, and you're wondering why, and you don't know how to get out of that stream that you're in. And it's about indecisiveness that happens to us. And, you know, sometimes it comes from success. The business is doing okay, but it really is drifting along in that stream that you've done okay. But you know there's something going on in the side of you that's saying, what's wrong?
It was interesting in WA, West Australia, is famous for its mining.
Yes, it is.
And I was talking to a gentleman who closed down his business. And I asked him why. I said, because you're doing really, really well. He said, we did well because of the mining boom. And I said, yes. And he said, so when that stopped, so did my business. And I said, but that doesn't seem logical because other people did really well in the mining boom and they're still going. And he went, well, I don't know what they were doing different than me, but, you know, we just took the orders as they came in. And it was like...
classic drift.
Yeah.
And not really sure why he's actually existing in business And this is what you are thinking right now. I seem to be going about doing the same thing over and over again. I'm lacking purpose and focus is the word to contrast that. And I'm not really sure how to get that back and how to wrestle my way into the dynamic of actually my business really having purpose and clarity and focus into my world again. And it comes from business owners being indecisive. There's this unsettledness, and I've seen it over and over again where people recognize there is something not quite right. Something's wrong. You know, even your staff will have said it to you, boss, what's going on in the business? We don't seem to be doing quite as well. There doesn't seem to be that kind of happiness or that joy or that excitement about turning up to work. We kind of seem to be going through the motions of turning up, doing stuff, paying bills, sending invoices, you know, creating this widget, buying in that widget. We're not really sure why we're going about what we're doing.
Yeah, you see quite often, and I've seen this in my years, that a lot of people, they're successful despite themselves. There's no criticism there.
Yeah.
But when things start to go wrong, because they don't know what made them successful
Correct.
in the first place, which is what you advise the gym owner, when things go wrong, we see fancy campaigns because some marketing person has said, "Whoa, offer this for free," or "do this different colouring," and it's like, hold on, what were people buying? Why were people buying from the first place? And they just, as you said, they just lost them because they don't know what was it.
That's right.
So the indecisiveness steps in, and the worse things get.
That's right.
The worse.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything gets.
And they drift along and they don't know how to, you know, refocus the boat. You know, it's lost its tiller. You know, we're going along, we're doing stuff, and it seems to be okay. But you know you're actually drifting. So I want to suggest to you, begin to ask yourself focus questions. If something changed in my business today, where would I focus? What I'm actually doing with my time, with my money, with my staff, with my widgets, with my suppliers, with my clients. What could I do to sharpen what I'm actually doing, arrest what's going on in the business, you know, to take some time where we just close up the business for half a day, bring everybody together, do a brainstorming, you know, or bring, you know, like that's why many businesses and good successful businesses actually have a coach in the room to have those kinds of conversations, to ask the harder questions where you're drawn out of your situation and you're encouraged to think strategically about what really is going on in and around for you. And so I want to help businesses today think about, where am I drifting? Now, your business might be doing quite well, but there'll be areas in our life where we're kind of drifting along. We might have done an MBA, and we're not studying anymore. We might have been, last year, read a book a week or a book a month. We're not reading anymore. We might have been a regular podcast listener. We're not listening anymore. You know, we might have been going to the gym. We're not doing the gym anymore. So there's a number of areas in our lives that we can actually drift along, and we know that there is some kind of signal, and I can guarantee this to you, there is some failure about to hit you if you don't wrestle with this and confront it and simply begin to ask the question, I've lost focus, I need to get my focus back. What am I actually going to do to arrest that focus? How can I help myself? What can I do? What podcasts can I listen to? What coach can I engage? What conversation? Who can I talk to? I'm beginning to ask some of those kinds of, beginning to sharpen yourself once again and taking hold of the rudder of your business and saying, I am going to be in charge, or the rudder of your learning, or the rudder of your growing, or the rudder of your health, and saying to yourself, no, I'm not going to drift anymore. It's unacceptable.
So what you're saying is that one of the first things that we all need to do, and I'm listening to you now, is go, okay, what were you doing? If it's listening to podcasts, going to the gym, make a list of those things that were really good for you and make them a constant in your life, and don't let them fall out. Maybe a good place to start putting back the tools.
It's right. It might be you've stopped reading and listening to your financial report. You might not be taking the metrics on your business. You might not be getting your reports from your staff coming through on time, etc., etc. So we're going to be back in just a little while to push into this a little bit further, to challenge all of us to think about, am I winning or losing in business, and what can I do to bring about a change? We'll be back in just a little while. Hello everybody, we're back again telling you a story today and asking a question: how are you winning or losing in business? And we're contrasting three sets of words, and that is drift, distraction, discouragement, with focus, clarity and accountability. And we've just been discussing about the dynamics of drift and what it does to us, and how we can begin to get focus back into our room and back into our world. And actually what we do is the fourth D in that dynamic is indecisiveness. And so what I want us to become is use decisiveness as a tool, which is all part of the accountability language. And so when we're lacking focus and when we're drifting and we're not focused people, I'm asking you to think about all the areas of your life and simply asking, where can I refocus my energies again? Where can I get that back? And I did that recently with my coach who's coaching me. And he asked me to assess my business, assess the various dynamics of clients that I'm using. And he simply asked me an energy question. He says, John, where do you get the most energy from? And so I had probably 8 areas, and it just narrowed it straight away to 1 or 2. I mean, the clarity from 8, I'm thinking I'm doing okay, but that's a lot. Yeah. And it's just sharpened me, and it's even inspired my wife, who's come up with some. She dreamt the artwork for me to use. Wow. And she's got it all in her head, so she's going to give it to my son-in-law, who is a bit of a graphics dude. Yep. We're going to create that. I'm just thinking, it's awesome. And so it's amazing what happens when you realize what's going on in your world and you sharpen it. You can cut through dimensions, you can cut through problems, you cut through issues, you can cut through obstacles, you can cut through blockages because you are sharp.
It was a technique, and I'm going to say it was Tony Robbins because I can't remember, but I'm sure he would have done it anyway because it sounds a bit like him. And I know he uses the word chunking, but the people were saying, okay, so you're looking at an area and you want to improve it. So they go, say you're in business, they say, okay, what's this area? Now write down all the things you want to improve on it. Now, which ones will make the biggest impact and which ones are just...
Oh, absolutely.
And you normally, if you've got 10 or 15 things, you normally get it down to 3 or 4. In
Correct.
your case, you get the 8 down to 2.
Yeah.
Well, that gives you the confidence.
Absolutely.
15 or 20 floating around in your head, and you're going, no wonder you can't make a decision.
That's right.
You do it this way, and you kind of go, well, they're the 3 that have the biggest impact. Then just do them.
Absolutely. And this is what I do with my clients. Every session, we end with an accountability dynamic, and that is, what will you work on going forward? So I get them to tell me what they're going to work. We record that. I sometimes get them to, they write paragraphs.
I know where John does tell them sometimes as well.
I
comes
do.
in here.
Yes. and it really is quite powerful because they then own the space and responsibility. Yeah. And I think it's really, really neat. So first area is you're drifting and you need to get focus. The second area is you are distracted. This is just all about the noise in your world. And when you wake up in the morning, the noise hits you because you pick up your mobile phone and you look at your emails. Bad idea. You're going to be distracted straight away because you see one of those emails is a problem client or a staff member saying, I'm not coming in today, or the bank has sent you an email saying, we need to have an appointment, and it's just going to be totally distracting, because if you've been with a coach like myself, I would have encouraged you the night before to plan your next day.
Yes.
So you sit down at the end of the day, this is my plan for tomorrow, I've written it out, I know where I want to go, so when I get in the office, I open my folder, I know what I'm about to do. I'm clear. So distraction, what we're doing is we're working on clarity. And so I'm clear about what we're doing, and I'm clearing away the noise of the world around and about me, because there is all sorts of noise. I enjoy listening to my podcasts.
Yep.
As I'm driving around. Generally, 20, 30 minutes, it's really cool. But then after a while, I find it's noise, and I can only take so much in. So then I'll listen to some really nice music, and sometimes even then, it's noise, and I need something different. I'll listen to a talk-back conversation, or I'll shut it all off and just have quietness in my car. And I travel quite a bit in my car from appointments to appointments. We've got a great city that we live in here in Perth, Western Australia, and a beautiful city to drive in, generally fantastic weather, sun shining. I've got a sunroof. I open that up. It's just great. And so we need to be aware that there is distractions all the time. So one of my clients said to me recently, he said, John, I want to develop my business, but I'm working till 1 and 2 in the morning, distracted. And I know what he does, because this is what he's done to me. If I send him an email, he'll respond to it straight away. If I call him, he'll respond to it straight away. And so I said to him, and then because he's then overloaded, he'll then wander off and go and talk to somebody else in an office nearby, or he'll go out for a wander, or like he's told me, he'll get onto Facebook and be distracted. And all of those things that we do in our world, we do them because we are not clear. We don't have the clarity about what it is that we're going to do. And it's like today, I want to do some training, and I've got some colleagues that want to do it. All I needed to do was send a simple email. Hey, are we interested? Do we want to pursue this? Let's because it's coming up at the end of October, November. Are we going to make a decision to go ahead and do that? So, 3 lines. Talking to a colleague, and if that's the case, this is how it works. This is what we need to do. It's either in Sydney or in Melbourne. Yep. Let's pick one that you want to go to. I want to go to Melbourne. It works best for me. And so it's 2 or 3 lines. It doesn't take much to get that clarity, made a decision, I know what I'm doing. Because when we're distracted, again, we're indecisive. And we know that this is what people say to themselves. I'm all over the place today.
It was interesting. I made a telephone call to a gentleman. I'm not going to name him. And I think he's very progressive. And I don't know how. Part of me went, how do you get away with this? Anyway, his message on his phone is, thank you for giving me a call. Just so you're aware, I read my emails between this time, I can't remember if it was 7 and 8 in the mornings, and 1 and 2 p.m. They're the only times I read emails and respond to them. And as for telephone calls, please be aware that I record all my messages and I have appointment times set aside in my diary to return them. And I return calls between these hours and these hours each day. It was like, so you're not going to talk to me?
No.
And he's gone. And this is when you can expect my call back.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not even going to listen to your message and go, I better give you a call back straight away. He's not even going to respond to your email on the spot. He's now told you. He only checks his emails twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
And he checks his message bank, I think it was 3 times a day. But he's actually got allocated times to return the messages. And I suppose if you don't take his call during those hours, you have to wait till the next day.
Absolutely. So,
wow.
Distracted. No, he's not.
No.
He's clear, crystal clear.
And he's not allowing you to distract him.
That's right, absolutely. Wow. And this is the noise that clamours for us.
But John, I must admit, I did say to myself, how does he get away with that?
Here's the challenge that we don't understand is when we are clear and we give a clear message, we actually do better about controlling our environment. Not that we can control everything. There's some things that just out of our control. I can't control somebody who's coming through a red light and clobbering me, which has happened to me. Yeah. So I'm not trying to control my world, but there's things that you can control about who you are and what's going on. And so with my client, I said to him, okay, you're going to record everything that you do. And we're just going to get a story of what's going on in your world. And so we're going to then work on that story in the next couple of weeks. And we're going to get back to you because I want to help him get crystal clear, because I said to them, I am sure you get clear, watch the freedom that's going to actually come into your world, and you'll have more time than you ever imagined.
Yeah.
We're going to be back in just a moment to wrap this up with another area for you to really think about and give you some clarity. Thank you so much. Hello everybody, this is John Hardy back with you in our conversation today. How do I win or lose in business? What's happening in my world? And we're contrasting drift, distraction, discouragement with focus, clarity and accountability, and pulling all of that together by, instead of being indecisive, to actually be decisive. And it really is very powerful. And they reckon this, Michael, that make decisions quickly, because your brain is processing far faster. So we talk maybe here about 300 to 400 words a minute. Your brain is working anywhere from 1,200 to 2,400 words a minute. So, so much faster than what we talk. It's processing all that information. So you read the information, is this cat black? And it's blue. So, blue. Yes or no, whatever it might be, your brain has processed 3, 4, 5 times faster than you can read or you can talk, and it's ready to give you that answer. Whereas what we do to ourselves is we think we're processing at the speed by which we talk. And so that's why sometimes people speed up the way they talk, because they're trying to, they think, process faster. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
So talk at an even pace. 300, 400 words is a really good even pace. People can take that in, comprehend it, and can engage in a good conversation with you, and can reply back at a similar pace. And so what we do is, and I know you're keen, and we have a lot of fun doing on this.
Because you prop things in my brain.
Yes.
I'm going, let me speak.
Yes. And so because we end up in an environment where we're indecisive, we drift, we're distracted, and then we get discouraged because it's just not working, and we wonder why. Because we're being indecisive, we're not making the decisions that we need to make. And so we see what's happening around and about us, and we just look at the world and we get discouraged, and we don't accomplish what we know we've set to do, what we maybe know our coach has even encouraged us to do. Yeah. And we look at our world and we just get overwhelmed, and we think, too hard, too big, too sad, too hard, and I'm going to go for a walk, go and get a coffee, and I'll go and talk to the missus, or I'll go out and play golf, because we're discouraged, and we hope something like that will actually renew our energies and help us. And it doesn't.
No. When you're speaking then, the reason you saw me going, light bulb, is I was remembering a story. There's a monk, so I don't know which country he was in, but his disciples were watching him, and of course the people from the village and the people from the town would come to the monk to ask for advice, because he's meant to be all wise.
Yes.
And without hesitation, they watched this monk, person after person, go, that, you need to do that, you need to do it, just handing out all day long. And they said to him, how do you do that? And he said, because as they're speaking, the brain's already processed it. I've already got the intuitive answer, or the instinctive answer there, because I've already been told what it is. So I just give it to them without trying to analyse it. And they said, what happens if you got it wrong? He said, based on what? They said, well, if new information. No. I based my decision on the information I had.
That's right.
And I don't, and this is an interesting thing. And he said, and I do not reflect on the right or wrong of that information or the answer I gave, because it was right at the time.
Absolutely. And so we don't understand the power of our brain.
Yeah.
We diminish our effectiveness, our ability to be decisive when we are in the world, when we're going to lose in business, because we are drifting, we're distracted, and we're discouraged. So to answer discouragement, you bring accountability into your world, and you set yourself some very clear objectives. One of the exercises I do to help people get focused and clear and accountable is simply doing my ABC. And that is A, I must do, B, I can do, C, I can't. And whatever it is going on in your world, I just get my clients to write down the list, whatever the list is, or however they want to record it, audio, video, on a list on paper, type it out, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But then the discipline that we want to bring in the world and being decisive and bringing accountability is we then ask the questions, what are the top 3 things on that list that I can either do today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year? So you can expand them out and set them. And then what's the next 3 things that I could do, so A, I must do.
Yeah.
So B, I can do. What's the can do's? What's the 3 things I can do today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year? Then everything else is my C list, which is everything else I cannot do. And so what happens is people then say to me, John, you're telling me not to do things. Yes, I'm absolutely telling you not to do things. And I find this. People will automatically know what are the priorities. They'll automatically know what they need to focus and be clear about and action, bring accountability into their world. And those things will often enable many of the C's to actually be accomplished all by themselves, because the big ticket items, the big focused areas, the big clear areas where you're making yourself accountable actually get dealt with. And I will often then say to them is your C's can often be delegated, empowered to others to take a hold of this. You might just give it to one of your other guys and say, hey, here's my list of stuff I know I cannot do. What do you think you could actually do with that? And so it's really, really powerful to deal with discouragement, is begin to bring accountability back into your world. And of course, that's the real power of what a coach does. And I often ask people when they're engaging with me, what are some of the dynamics that you want to actually have happen? And most of the time, the answer that comes back above all the other answers is accountability. Help me be accountable. And I love those conversations. Right now, I've got a client that is struggling because his timetable is so packed. So I've given him 5 options of how he can book into his diary, and so we can meet. And I'm pushing back, challenging him to be accountable to the commitment that he's actually made. And it's not really that hard. I just looked at my diary. Here's the way in which you can resolve that issue. Here's some options. Choose one. And it's not that hard. And what we do is, because we're discouraged and because we're losing, we lose momentum, and we actually want to go home and give up, And we can all be there. And there's times when it doesn't quite work for me, and I have to address myself. And that's why I love having my coach. I know I look forward to it. I know I get energy from it. I know it brings clarity, focus, and accountability into my world. And I know what that does for me to really sharpen who I am and where I'm going, and helps me overcome drift, distraction, and discouragements. So I don't want you to lose in business. I want you to actually be effective and win in business. And so today has been all about that conversation and asking yourself the question, am I losing? Am I drifting? Am I distracted? Am I discouraged? Or am I winning? Yes, I know. If I'm losing, get focused, get clear, become accountable, and watch the difference that it will make into your world. That's the power of having a coach in your room. That's the power of listening to a podcast like this, reflecting on it, and making some decisions to help you. Don't be indecisive. Be decisive. Make those decisions quickly, and watch what will take place for you. It's been a delight to be with you once again and share with you, where we want to bring transformational principles into your world so you can live them out, work them out, and see how that powerfully impacts your business to help you achieve what you're wanting to achieve. And that is to be an outstanding, effective business person for yourself, for your staff, for your team, for your stakeholders and your suppliers, and of course, this great nation where you live. It's been a delight to be with you, and looking forward to sharing with you once again real soon. And if you want to contact us, how would you do that? In Australia, call me on 0413 286 774, or email me john@peakconsultancy.com.au, or
admin@101mediagroup.com.au.
It's just a delight, and we love doing this with you and for you. Thank you so very, very much.
And as John says, tune in so he can help you
Climb the mountain so you can see the view.